What's up, you guys? Check mic, check, 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 check. Waiting for everybody to come in, and then we're gonna get started, you guys. Always interesting conversations, things we can talk about that are groundbreaking in our community, the things that need to be shared that are not being shared. How about that, you guys? And those are things we're gonna talk about. What's up? What's up, CC? Let me know where you guys are from as you're coming into the room. What city, what state you're coming in from. I want to know who I'm talking to. And even when you leave a comment, let me know what state you're from. You're hollering from, you guys. That'll be really cool. You feel what I'm saying? Blessings, Elizabeth. Thank you, Autumn. Osana, hi. Thank you, Osana. Listen, I'm a recording artist. My name is Stone Paxton. I'm an artist, but the things that affect our life we should talk about. Shouldn't just always be about music. Shouldn't just always be about that. Music is with us at all times, but we should always talk about the things that affect our community. What good is it being an artist if you can't talk about those things? And of course, we could talk about it in our music, you know what I mean? But we should for sure have conversations about these things because there's not enough people in our community talking about things that really affect our community in a way that it can be shared in a positive way where we can know what's happening and we can make a difference and we can have a voice because we know. If you don't know, you can't have a voice. If you don't know what's going on, you're not going to be able to have a voice. Let me know what city you guys are from before we get started. The big, beautiful bill is what we're going to be talking about today. And it sounds great. It sounds amazing. That name, the big, beautiful bill. We're going to let more people get in and share the live, you guys. We'll let more people get in here before we get started. Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you. That's beautiful. I appreciate you so much. Autumn, I sure will. I really appreciate that. And from the bottom of my heart to you, thank you for saying that. I appreciate that. Osana, thank you. I'm into fashion. Everybody talking about they got a clothing line. I've had a clothing line for a long time. I actually sew and make clothes, but that's something we'll get into on one episode. We'll talk about the clothes and the stuff I wear and the stuff that I make and the stuff that I've made through the years and stuff, and the stuff that I design. It's just a lot of cool stuff happening. But if anybody received their CDs that are members, please post and let me know you've already received it. It's in the mail. You should be getting it any day for those of you that did the first order, and then there were people that ordered afterwards. So yours is coming too. But just let me know, whoever have already received your CDs, just let me know in the comments. We're about to get started. Just get some more people in here. We're going to start chatting. Hashtag Justice for Angie Stone. Let's make sure that we do that every time we're in the chat to you guys. We just want to keep that energy going for Stony. Sending love to you, Leanne. Thank you. We appreciate that. We truly appreciate that. Now, let's kind of cover a few things really quick, you guys. Can you guys hear? You hear me okay? Hope so. Okay, hold on. Hmm. Now, I saw a few people, not a lot. I saw a few people talking about this bill. Let's get this number up, you guys. Share the live before we get started. I know I'm a little bit early today, but that's by design. So share this live. I was trying to catch people either before they go to lunch or right as they're at lunch. Share this live. Let's get this number up. Because then people be like, "Oh man, I missed your live, Stone. I'm just now catching your live." I'm like, "Well, I mean, set your alerts right, set your notifications for all so you get the alerts whenever I go live." Okay. Let's bring that number up more. I can't wait to get into this conversation. I really feel like this is a conversation that needed to be had. You know, any single mothers out there, please share this right now to any single mothers that you know, because I need to have this conversation with the single mothers and also the single fathers. This affects households, married couples. This will affect them. This is like a really big deal if this law is put into play. Right now, it's on the table. It has not been placed into actual law. It has not been passed as a law, but it's right there. It has been spoken of. It has been named. It's sitting there. It's waiting. It's in the House. It hasn't been moved forward yet. But I want people to realize how this is going to affect homes, families, single mothers, single fathers, mother and fathers that are working hard to try to, take care of the family and barely making it. These things are going to affect the family dynamic. And we're going to get into some thoughts and, you guys' thoughts of what you think as I get into this. Okay. The U.S. House Republicans are working really hard, you guys. They are working really, really hard. Share the live, y'all. We're about to get into it. They're working really, really hard, man. But, I'm just trying to see with this bill, like the future of this bill. This is their thoughts, you guys. This bill, they're going to lower the age. Now, I saw some people online kind of spitting it in a way where it was misleading. Like when I saw people saying, oh, they're changing the age of dependency from 18 to 7, the way these people were talking, they weren't really explaining it. They were making you think that, they're changing the age of dependency where kids are going to have to kind of get a job and do stuff on their own. If you didn't understand what they were saying, that's what you would have thought, because that's the way they were talking. Now, I don't know if they were doing this to get more attention, to get more likes and views by saying it this way, but they were saying it in the wrong way. It was being said in the wrong way. What they were trying to say, as I read it and I looked at it, they are saying that age of dependency from 18 to 7, right? From 7 years old, sorry, from 7 to 18. So what's going to happen is, like, if people are getting SNAP, if you got 10 kids, once they turn 7, after that, there is no there's no support from the government when it comes to like SNAP and the special programs. They're cutting it off at 7 years old. Now that kind of messed me up when I heard it. Now I understand that they're trying to figure out ways to fix the economy and come up with different ways to give money back. They feel like to the general public via taxpayers' dollars and stuff like that. But I'm trying to see how age 7 is a significant age. If they had said maybe like 10, I probably would have been like, all right, cool. But I'm thinking about the single mothers and I'm thinking about the single fathers who are taking care of 2 or 3 kids and it's just them, or the husband and wife who are working really hard. One person's working, the mom might be home with the kids. And so now from 7 years old on up to 18, sorry, 7 to 18, that's the cutoff age. So if you got kids, you might have 6 kids, right? Soon as they hit 7, SNAP and all that, they're like, we cutting back. I'm trying to see how this is going to help the community. Now, I'm not saying that they shouldn't do it. I think there's a better way. I know they're trying to cut dollars, but here's my thoughts, right? And I don't know, you tell me what you guys think. I always thought that there is a better way to, even with them cutting back food stamps on the people that need it, because there's a lot of people that need assistance, right? There's a lot of people that need, back in the day, in the 80s, they called it township, right? Because you get the money, you get the food stamps, and you get a few dollars, right? And I remember that because I remember my sister used to send me to the liquor store to get her her cigarettes. She used to say, go buy 50 cents worth of bologna, bring me back to, or the food stamp. They would say, go buy 50 cents worth of bolognas or $10 worth of bologna and cheese, and then bring me back the money, and then bring her back the cash, and then we would go get the cigarettes or whatever else she wanted. That's like an 80s thing, a 70s thing. Anybody know what I'm talking? Been through that, you'll know what I'm saying. That's the way they used to run food stamps in the hood back in the day, right? You go, have your kids go get some candy or whatever, and you take the change back to your family. So I understand they're trying to figure out a way how to monitor the system better, but it looks like to me it's going to be havoc for families. It looks like to me it's going to be havoc for single mothers and single fathers, because how how are they going to take care of the family if you got 10 kids and every time they turn 7, that's it, they're cutting off certain assistance programs, you know what I'm saying, at 7. So now it's kind of like, I mean, I get it, I can see it looks like they're trying to figure out a way to wing people off of the program, but and then save the government money, but this here has destruction written all over it. I can see it. It has destruction written all over it for single mothers and single fathers and married men and women who don't make enough money, who have to depend on the system to feed their family. It has havoc written all over it. If this bill is passed, the big beautiful bill, I don't know how they came up with the name Big Beautiful. Maybe they feel like it's sending money back into the middle class and they're able to save money and shave money here and there, but it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt a lot of people at the lower end of the spectrum when it comes to communities and families that are barely already making it. So from 7 years old, that's going to be now the age, if this bill passes, where they're going to cut back on SNAP and government assistance. That's going to be crazy. I mean, think about it. For the ladies that might be in here, or you might have daughters, that are on this program, or people that are on it, this is going to be a devastating situation for communities that are not making as much money, that depend on this. African Americans, Hispanics, even white folks that depend on this. Asian folks, anybody that's depending on this system is going to put you in a very bad situation. And I just don't see any positive coming out of this. What I see is poverty. This can push people into a very dark place when it comes to economic wise being able to even feed their children. This is what is on my mind. This is what I'm worried about. And I think everybody needs to know about this. So if you know about it, you can speak of it. If you know about it, you can contact your representatives. Sometimes these bills pass so fast, and then you look up and now this bill is a part of your life and there's nothing you can do about it. This is the reason why we need to research. CC. Oh, CC, thank you. CC's always, thank you, CT. I appreciate that. Thank you for the donation to the channel. My moderator always shows love. I don't know. She does that, and it's amazing. Different kind of moderator, you guys. Y'all need some moderators like that. But yeah, this bill is going to change the family dynamic in the struggling communities already. Notice I didn't say black, white, this and that, because color has nothing to do with struggle. Everybody struggles at some point. Some just struggle more than others. But the only way to understand what's going to happen in the future is you need to stay on top of reading what is happening so that you can contact your local senators and send letters out. Just because you live in the hood or the ghetto or you're a single mother does not mean you don't have a voice. It just means you're not using your voice. You got to use your voice to make a difference. Sometimes we think one person doesn't make a difference. We think little old me sitting in a little country town, or little old me in the big city, out of 3 or 4 million people, I can't make a difference. Truth is, you actually make more of a difference than you realize if you are actually on top of writing letters to Congress, making sure you let them know your feelings about the things that you do not like. Start locally. This is where the laws matter. Before it moves to DC, it starts in your city. If you're not operating or operating your rights as a citizen, what is the purpose of what are you doing? Saudi Ali, Stone, you look so nice. Thank you, Sadai. Sadai. I hope I said it right. I always say it wrong. Thank you, Sadai. Thank you for the donation to the channel. This is my favorite color. Teal green is one of my favorite colors. So sometimes we need an extra voice. Sometimes we need an extra voice. Sometimes it takes people in our community to speak up because sometimes some people don't realize the power they have. There's a young girl that's 17 or 18 who sitting at home and doesn't know about this bill. There's a grown woman in her 20s and 30s that doesn't know about this bill, how it's going to affect him. There are husbands and wives, once again, who are barely making it. And the husband might be working, but you know how the programs work. As soon as somebody makes a little bit more money, you got to report it. And then they cut you off of assistance because the whole point is to eventually wing you off of assistance so you don't need it. Right. And then there's people out here who are taking advantage of the system, who don't need it and who are just sitting at home and just waiting for the food stamps to come, the card, EBT, whatever the case may be, and snap. And they're totally taking advantage of it, right? We all know those people. I remember back in the day when I was in college, I remember I knew this one lady, she would call me, she'd be like, I got $300 worth of food stamps, give me $50. I was like, all right. I was like, I thought that was the coolest thing in the world. That was back then. I mean, there's still people that be trying that with their cards. They'll tell you meet them at the store, but back in the day, they would give you the booklet. You buy the booklet, they give you the whole booklet because you can break it off and go in and do what you needed to do, right? So they're trying to figure out a way to since Trump has been in office, they've really been cracking down. I just want everyone to understand how this bill can affect all of our family members because each and every one of us have family members that are on the system. Some of us right here in the live are on the system. Believe me, when I was growing up and I was going to college and got out of college, I tried to apply for government assistance. They wouldn't give it to me. They researched me and told me, "Oh, you make enough money, you don't need it." Because some of my friends had it, and I was like, "How much what they giving you in food stamps?" They was like, "Man, I'm getting like 500. I'm getting 150. I'm getting 200." I think they offered me like $20. Like, I think she said, "Oh, let me see. Yeah, Mr. Paxton, yeah, $20 a month." I was like, "What?" She said, "Well, because you make enough." I'm like, "But I'm just out of school. I'm not making anything." But according to royalties and what they were seeing coming in, to them, I was making too much to get it. But I think I got offered $20, and it was the funniest thing in the world, right? I was like, "Dang, $20, So the system now is set up to really wing people off of this assistance faster. They're not caring about people. They're not caring about if you're struggling. This is crazy, y'all. You got to start thinking about what's happening, young folks. If you're watching this, if somebody shared my life, thank you for listening to me. All I'm trying to do is bring awareness to the things that nobody wants to talk about. There's a few Black content creators, very, very influential, that talk about things. Sometimes they cover the things. I want to cover the things that they might not be covering. We need more of this. The more people we have talking about the things in the community that make a difference, that's what's going to shed the light so that we make a difference and we can write those letters to Congress, our senators locally, and we can affect those laws that affect us in long term, because we're not thinking about the long term effect. And how many people say this? How many of your family members will say, "I didn't even know that was a law," because you wasn't paying attention. This shit didn't mean nothing to you. So you didn't know it was a law because you didn't give a damn. But once it affects you, then you're mad. You're like, "Man, I can't believe this. I can't believe." And then you want to yell out different names of politicians that you don't like. That's why you got to pay attention. You got to pay attention. Just like you pay attention to the car, the house, the food when you go to the grocery store, the shrimps, the chicken you're buying. You feel what I'm saying? All the good food for the barbecue. You got to pay attention the same way. You got to pay attention the same exact way when it comes to our lives. Maybe this conversation is not interesting to somebody right now, but trust and believe me, when that law passes and they cut that snap, you're going to remember this conversation. If you're passing through YouTube and you're seeing what I'm saying, you're going to say, "Wait a minute, that one dude, what's his name? That one dude was online talking about this. Let me go back to the video," because it's going to affect you. Think about it. I know some girls got 7 kids. I know some young ladies that's got 10 kids. I know some that's got 3. I have family members that have tons of kids. It's going to affect everybody that is on the system programs, that are on these programs right now, that are getting governmental assistance. It's going to affect you. All I'm saying is it's coming. If this law gets passed, it's in the House now. It's called. I ain't making this up, man. It just, I mean, as I sit back and I look at my notes, some of the things it just shocks me, right? How they came up with the name, the Big Beautiful Bill, and I just want to know what's beautiful about cutting off people's assistance. Now, don't get me wrong. I understand that there are people that need this, but the name, the Big Beautiful Bill, who is it beautiful to? It's not beautiful to the communities that need that assistance. I see what they're doing. They're cutting back because you see when they were doing this whole thing, shipping people back to Mexico. Oh, I see the game. See, this is the cutback so they can figure out who's coming into the United States and who's abusing the governmental system to clean it up. I see the play, but I just want everybody to know, even though that play is being ran, it also affects the Americans that are here. They first got to tear it apart to put it back together. So while they're tearing it apart to try to put it back together, it affects each and every one of you. Each and every one of you. If you got kids that hit 7, you're in trouble. Because those kids still got to grow up. They still got to get to their winged off a mama. You know, and most kids still stay at home at 18. Notice that's why they say 7 to 18. Most 18-year-olds are still at home. Most 20-year-olds are still at home. They might go get an apartment. It don't work out. They got to go back home. And we know that we've all dealt with our kids doing that. They get an apartment, shit don't work out. Mama, Dad, can I come stay back for a little bit until things ain't work out? So they know that. They know that. So you kind of never stop taking care of your kids until maybe 25. Me, I know some 25-year-olds still live home. I left home early and I never went back. I was a different kind of kid. So understand that this Big Beautiful Bill is something that is going to really, really change the scope of the communities across the country. Black people ain't the only ones getting governmental assistance. You do your research, you'd be surprised. Black people are not the only ones getting governmental assistance. There's a lot of people outside the Black community, really more than you would even imagine. The budget lowers the age of the dependent from 18 to under 7. Now it says under 7. I said 7. It says under 7, but only in the context of supplemental nutrition assistance programs, not across the board. So it says only in the context of supplemental nutrition. You know, so I guess they define that in whatever way they want. When they say supplemental nutrition, maybe they're talking about like stuff for babies, like, you know, the stuff that you buy for like the babies and stuff, you know, all the baby formula and shit. Maybe that's what they're talking about, because they said only in supplemental assistance, nutrition, supplemental nutrition. Damn it, somebody keeps calling my phone right now. I can't talk. So it says only in supplemental nutrition. The assistance program says not across the board. So I guess they're saying not across other programs, but the supplemental nutrition, which is still important. Mothers that are breastfeeding still, babies that need certain nutritional stuff, it's saying that it's at 18 to under 7. That leaves that wide open for interpretation. When you say supplemental nutrition assistance program, and they don't really define, but then they said not across the board. What is not across the board? That could mean anything, right? It said the bill would significantly reduce the number of households with children who benefit from SNAP, according to the experts. So like I said, somebody online was saying it in a confusing way. They were saying it like they had people thinking like, oh, they're changing the age of how kids are gonna have to take care of themselves at age 7. They're gonna have to be dependent and be on their own. That's the way the content creator was spitting it on the video that I saw. And I was like, man, that didn't make sense, right? So I had to get to the bottom of it. This is what they're talking about. The bill has yet to be voted on in the US Senate as of this date, right? So it's there, but it hasn't been voted in yet. Hoping that it might not be, because I feel like this could really affect a lot of mothers that need supplemental nutritional programs for their child, their newborn children, and things like that. Um, so I'm hoping that this doesn't actually go into play. You got to remember, when these bills get voted in, sometimes it takes years and years and years to undo it. You guys need to look at the play and what's happening right now in Congress. All these bills, I've never seen bills get passed so quick. Even though we have the Republicans and the Democrats going back and forth with each other and not agreeing on everything, I still have never seen these many bills get passed this fast. If I'm wrong, you guys tell me. If you've seen in the history of somebody being president, or in the history of this country, have you ever seen these many bills get passed this fast? This is like remarkably crazy to me. I've never seen it. But understand that when you don't pay attention, you suffer in the future, because whoever comes in office next, it's going to take a long time to undo these bills. So this is why you got to be active and understand what these bills mean. And if you don't know, there's nothing wrong with researching. If you don't know, research. It starts with your local. And I tell people all the time, everybody's thinking about voting, when you have to vote, if you're not even voting locally, then you don't really get the logistics of how this works. You got to understand, voting starts on the level of your local, municipal, then the national level, but it starts locally. And you might not think that you make that much of a difference, but it starts locally. Once you make an impact locally, you actually make that impact nationally. And the people still have the power. I don't know why people don't understand this. Everybody's thinking, it's over with. It's never over with when you have a voice. When you have a pen and paper and a voice and you can write a letter, you still have power and you still have influence. You just need to use it. Let me see. Let me read some of these. Cheryl R. Lay said, regarding school meal programs, the bill includes proposals to tighten eligibility for the Community Eligibility Provision, CEP, which allows schools to offer the free meals to all students without. Cheryl, now I like that. See, thank you for sharing that, Cheryl. Now you see how Cheryl got on here and she shared some things that she knew. This is what I'm talking about. Like, if we all share the knowledge, it makes a difference, right? But if we're not talking about it, it's not going to make a difference. Lady Sparkle, thank you for the $2 donation. Cheryl got on here and she shared the things that she knows about it. I appreciate you for that, Cheryl. She said also the students without collecting individual applications. Sorry about chopping it up, Cheryl. Your love says, I pray they don't pass this one of all. Now, like Cheryl said, it does have benefits in one way, and then it takes away benefits in other ways. I mean, how many families pack lunches for their children right now? That's something to think about. If that was taken away, then now your child goes to school and it can't learn because the child is hungry, right? So Cheryl's right. In Cheryl's opinion, and regarding the school meals and stuff, like it helps that sector out, right? But what if that was taken away? So even though when they pass laws, some things it benefits and then it might affect some things in a negative way. This is why you got to know what's happening. So when they say vote, if you ever watch voting in your local city, it'll say vote 132, just as an example, right? And you're looking at the TV and they play that commercial over and over again. And you'll go to the polls and don't even know what that shit means. And you'll be hitting 132 or whatever that bill is called, right? Whatever that number is. This is what a lot of people do because you've heard it so much in a commercial and you might be voting against something that's going to affect you and you don't even realize it. So this is why you have to be educated. It doesn't cost anything, $1 or nothing to read. The internet is now the library. You don't have to get in your car and you don't have to go to the library. All you have to do is get online and research whatever you don't know is there. The dictionary is there. If you don't understand words, go research. Like they used to make us write down words and memorize them, and we'd have to go through that in class. in English class, and then the teacher would ask you, what does this word mean? We'd have to study those words. People do not study enough, but then everybody wants to be mad when things affect their lives. And there's so many things and so many laws that have been passed that are affecting our lives and going to affect us in such a major way that you're going to be super pissed off because you didn't even know about it, because you didn't take the time to just say, let me go and research this law. 2 seconds. Lady Sparkle said, I still like to go to the library. Some things are better. Yeah. You know what? It's actually fun to go to the library. And I'll tell you why. When I go to the library, it takes me back to elementary and middle school. It's just something about the library, the mystique of the quietness and the smell of the books and the wood, right? And it kind of takes you back to a time and space. I do love the library. I'm guilty of that too, Lady Sparkle. Cheryl said, the most vulnerable communities are about to hear the brunt of these policies, the policy changes, and it's the poor who will suffer first and the hardest. Cheryl, and thus the reason I am on here now. Thank you, Cheryl. This is the reason I am on here now. We all have family members that are struggling. All of us do. Everybody on this live got family members. It don't matter how much money you got. Some people don't take care of all their family members. Some people that have a lot of money don't look out for all their family. So everybody's got struggling family members, some worse than others, that are going to truly suffer if this bill is passed in a heavyweight way. So get ready to support your family members because it's going to happen. I don't see this bill not getting passed. It sounds like something that the Democrats and the Republican, according to what I've been reading, something that they fancy, and they're probably going to pass this bill for the sake of saving money, for the sake of feeling like money is going back into the middle class. But like Cheryl said, people are going to suffer in a major way. The poor people are going to suffer. And this is why I am on here. I can't sit around and see something like this and not say something and not talk about it, at least bring awareness. That's worth its value in money. Awareness is worth its value in money. So I can't just sit here and not say something when I know this information and it's in my head and it's driving me crazy thinking about it. And I'm just going to sit here and not say anything. If you knew me in real life, one thing you'll know about me is I love talking about profound subjects that are going to help us wake up and change in one way or the other. So I can't sit around and not do something. As an artist, one thing that we have that most people don't is we have a voice, a reasoning through our music. If you listen to my music enough and I'm telling you about love, eventually you will believe in what I'm saying because it's a mantra. You're repeating that. You're playing that song over and over and over again. You start to feel love. It's a mantra. You understand what I'm saying? Also, there's two cycles in life. There's the upside and the downstream, the upstream and the downstream. In life, one stream you never want to get caught in is the downstream. When you get caught in the downstream, sometimes it's hard to get out of that shit. All of us have been there. We've all been there in struggling situations, trying to figure life out. And we get caught in the downstream and we're just floating away, trying to figure out how to get back in the upstream. Part of getting away from getting caught in the downstream is paying attention to what's going on in your local politics. I don't care if you're a gangster. I don't care if you from the hood and you're a hardcore female, hardcore brother. Just be smart enough to know what's happening in your community with politics, your local, congressman. Read. It doesn't cost anything. It doesn't cost anything to be an educated person. You don't have to have a degree to be educated. You just have to study and know enough to know what's going on. Be educated in your own world. If you're not even educated in your own circle, then that's a serious problem. This is how these kind of bills come to pass. Because when people don't know, they have no idea what to write letters about. They have no idea what to vote about. And once again, you look up and your life has changed in a major way. You see what they've done with this whole digital situation. Nobody saw that coming. That slide. You can go to listen. I was in Whole Foods the other day. I think I posted it in the video. When I saw that hand thing with the chip, well, I could have used that instead of my credit card, put my hand on that. I said to myself, I said, man, I said, we really in trouble because chips in the hand. If I'm saying to you, I already got the machine in there. How easy is it going to be for me to say, you know what? All y'all need to chip in y'all hand now. We ain't doing it no other way. Because guess what? You guys said it was okay because the machine is already in there. Somebody let it fly by and thought it was okay. Somebody pressed that 132, number 132 without knowing what it meant. Oh, I think this means that we're going to get more money in taxes. Click, because they didn't go read. They couldn't have just put digital machines in the stores. The law had to have been passed. They can't just make it happen. It was a law that was voted on and nobody paid attention to it. Somebody had to have hit yes without even knowing they hit yes. Because I didn't see a line full of people at the store putting their hands over it. So it lets me know people are still in fear of like, I don't trust the chip in my hand. But we pressed yes when we were voting and didn't know what we were voting for. This is why you got to be educated as to what you are voting for and why you're voting. Don't just try to be a cool person to get a sticker. Say, I voted. Look at that. I voted. Right there. That's my sticker. Nobody cares. What did you really vote for? And did you know what you voted for? Did you know each and every person that you voted for? Because believe me, when you're voting, there'll be people come up that you never heard of. You're like, I ain't never heard of Billy Turner. Who is that? Shit, I guess I'll just press yes. I'll just press no. This is why. And they know you're going to get a lot of people to do that because they know people are not on top of game. They know certain communities don't care about studying and reading what politicians have done, what their history, where they messed up at, the promises they made, what they actually delivered on. That's going to affect you in the future. You see a black man up there, you just excited. There's a black man. You're like, yay. But you didn't research that black person's history. You see a Mexican, yay. Mexican guy for office, Asian guy for office. But you didn't study what they have done that's going to help affect you in a positive way. So you just vote. You vote anything. You might know the main candidates that are running, but then when it comes to the local level, most people don't know some of the local people, the precinct committeeman from this ward, that person from that ward. Nobody studies that shit. My mother was a precinct committee woman. I learned about all that when I was young. Nobody studies that you can have a precinct committee person from a different ward on another side of town that affects that law in that area. That person is running for that area. But then when you go vote and they have all them names, you're not even knowing who the hell it is because you're not studying the things that can change your life. You're just there. You're just kind of like floating through and to make it through until the law affects you. Then you're pissed and you're online and calling your family and you're upset because you had a chance to do something about it and you didn't. I don't know you. I don't have all the answers to everything, you guys. All I know is I know what I know, and I know what I was taught from my mom and my aunt, and they taught me to pay attention to the things that was going to affect us in the long run, the things that nobody wants to pay attention to. They taught me and my brothers and sisters to pay attention. I remember when my mom used to give us a scripture in the morning. We'd wake up in the morning when I would stay at my mom's before school. She'd pray. She'd wake up at 4 in the morning. She's praying. We can't even sleep because she's in full prayer mode. I go slip my foot in my shoe. There's holy oil inside of my shoe. I should be really upset about that shit too, to be honest. And she would give us a scripture in the morning to read. And then when we come home from school, she would ask, what was that scripture I gave you? You remember that scripture? She wanted us to remember what she gave us. It's like she gave us our tools for that day to be prepared. That's the studying part of life, right? And then I would come back, and there was times I didn't remember it. But then as I got older, I started paying attention to what she was doing. She was preparing me for the future. We're using my mind, intaking something that was going to protect me for the future. That was a small example of protecting me by giving me something to keep with me as my shield, and then asking me, what was that I gave you? That was holding me responsible for paying attention and being conscious. I appreciate what she did because now I understand why she was doing that. There was no man to teach me that. I was taught that by women. Women that were able to balance things out enough to be a man and a woman. And I know that sounds crazy, but I don't know how my mom and my aunt did it, but they did it. And I don't remember. And for the sake of, and I'm saying this, I know I'm all over the place. I'm about to go somewhere else with this. And I got to say this. I wasn't fortunate to grow up in a household where I had my mother and father. I had a stepfather who was there, right? Later on, right? And he was a great guy. He was cool. I used to sit on the porch with him. Because of him, I listened to NPR every morning. Because listen, every weekend, his thing was he'd sit out on the front porch, he'd turn on NPR, and he would listen to that NPR, and I would sit there. I was intriguing to hear NPR, and you'd hear the British accents, and they would be speaking from the UK, and then the NPR, and I sit there, and the stories were compelling. I learned that from being around him, sitting with him on the porch on Saturday mornings. I'd never forget it. Every Saturday morning, right? I also remember, and this there's a point to what I'm saying. He told me when I think I was 13 or 14. My stepdad said to me, he was never the kind of guy to give you advice, though. Like, he was never like, come here, let me tell you about girls. My mom and my aunt told me, especially my mom told me about women, how to deal with women. I didn't get that from my older brothers. Their thoughts of girls was whatever. They had their girl. They weren't really. But my mom is the one that taught me how to deal with women and what to look for and how to treat a woman, right? But my stepdad said something very interesting. I remember when on the NPR, it was they were talking about the moon walking and all that, right? And this is no joke. I had to be 13 or 14. My stepdad, he was an old country dude, right? Old country dude. Like, is old. He was as traditional as it gets as far as like his personality and how he acted, right? He loved his riding more. He loved his Cadillacs and he loved his riding more. Those are, you just don't mess with those. And he loved his hot link sausages. Don't touch them. But he said to me, there's never been a man to go to the moon. I thought that old man was crazy when I was 13. I remember saying to him, Poppy, I said, Poppy, like, I looked up at the sky like, there's man's been in the moon, Poppy. He's, ain't no man been in no moon. That ain't real. I thought he was crazy. But guess what? I wish he was here so I could tell him, guess what? They're debunking that shit now. They're saying man ain't never been to the moon. All that shit was made up. I wondered. That's why sometimes old folks, you gotta listen to them because they know they shit. They know they shit, especially the ones from back in the day. They knew they shit. If they was telling you something, you better have listened. That was one of the reasons I never got in trouble. I never was caught up in a lot of stuff. Now you got to remember, 6 brothers, the streets, knuckleheads, all that stuff. I was busy listening to stuff like this. My mom telling me stuff, my aunt telling me stuff, my stepdad saying stuff like, ain't no man been to no moon. I remember going to school telling my teacher, my stepdad says there's never been nobody to go to the moon. She's like, he's crazy. Why would he say that? I was like, I asked him, he said, but now we see. I wish that he was here so I could say, Poppy, you were right, Poppy. I'm so sorry. Like, I didn't believe you when I was young, Poppy. You were 100% correct. Dang, Poppy, how you know that? He knew it. Poppy knew that. Poppy used to look at me and say it all the time. Ain't no man been in the moon. I say, man, he got to be crazy. But see, that's what I mean about listening and learning. I was being schooled with so much knowledge that I didn't realize the knowledge I was being schooled to until I got older and certain things were in me. And then kids my age back then was wondering why I knew so much about stuff because I would regurgitate what I was being taught. So I looked cool when, Paxton, how you know that, Paxton? I was like, yeah, I just know. But really, I was listening to my elders. We got to get back to that. We got to get back to the knowledge part of what our elders had taught us about listening and learning. Because those elders in the 70s, 60s, and 50s knew that reading was fundamental. They knew the way out of poverty was learning and education. And it still is that. Because think about it. I'm not saying you got to go to college and get a degree, but you damn sure have to be educated to understand what's happening so you don't make mistakes. So those old folks knew what the hell they was talking about. They knew what they were talking about. We just were not listening, like a lot of people in our community don't do now. You got a lot of great gentlemen online who give Black folks a lot of knowledge. You got Roland Martin. He's online. He's always passing knowledge for the Black community. You know what I'm saying? You got a lot of positive Black men online giving knowledge. But I notice how people don't really pay attention like they should. Because with all the knowledge that is given, for the small amount of people that are on YouTube giving the real knowledge, not enough of the minority community is paying attention until it's too late. You got some strong Black gentlemen online giving some really solid game. Why is it that we as a community just don't seem to pay attention until it's too late? And I'm telling you, the real power in this and laws like this, the big, beautiful bill, if we cared enough about our community, this law wouldn't even be nothing to be talked about because we would have stumped it down the first time it landed. We would have stumped it down with letters. We would have voted against it. But if you don't know about it, how can you vote against it? If you're not reading and you're not studying, and now it's about to be a law, what can you do? Because now it's at the level of them voting it in. It's in the House. It had to get to the House in a certain way. It didn't just get there. So that means it was there. Nobody was reading about this possibility of this bill that was going to come because nobody cared. Because guess why you didn't care? Because it didn't bother you. You're not affected by it. That's the mentality of a lot of people these days. Well, if it don't affect me, I don't give a fuck about it. It don't affect me. It don't affect my family. I don't give a fuck about it. But guess what? It does. If it doesn't affect your immediate family, it affects your cousin, your older brother, his kids, your sister and her kids, your neighbor, your best friend. Oh, it's going to affect somebody. So it still affects you because they might have to come to your house to eat. They might have to come to your house to get some food. They might have to come to your house to get some supplemental nutrition for their baby. That's the real truth. All I'm saying is we just got to be sharp enough to know what's happening so that when these bills come up or these laws that get talked about, we can go activate in that mode of a person that can make a difference by writing a letter or voting against something that's going to affect you, because that's your real power. Now, I hear people saying, oh man, voting don't matter. If voting didn't matter, why would you even have to go out? Think about that. If voting didn't matter, hell, we don't have to go vote then. We could stay at home and watch it on TV and let them figure that shit out. It don't make any sense of what you're saying when you say voting doesn't matter. Once again, if voting didn't matter on a local level or a national level, we wouldn't have voting at all. They would just be making all the decisions without us. Which, by the way, eventually, I think that's what they would probably like to do. But you have the power. You as a person have a voice. And I know you've heard this 100 million times. Who am I to say this again? So I'm saying it from me. to you that you do have a voice. And you also got to read and know what the hell you're voting about. Let's read some of these comments. Leanne said, I've been spreading knowledge since the 70s because I did something. She said, I did something and worked, but I was single, but I did something and kept people. I kept on my people. My people need to take up where we leave off. Okay, I'm sorry if I chopped that up. But what she's saying is she's been spreading the word. Leanne says she's been spreading the word since the 70s. You know, um, she said she did something and I worked, but I think she's saying she did something and it worked. But I was single, but I did something and she stayed on her people, but our people need to pick up where she left off. So what she's saying is the generation that was fighting, 40s, 50s, 60s generation that was fighting, this generation has to pick up. 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s generation. This generation now has to pick up where we left off, pick up the torch and keep it going, because you guys are the future, young generation. So if you're not trying to be educated on what's happening, because you probably think these subjects are corny and they're square. She said, we went out and did things for people, and we need to pick people to pick up and keep it going. Swamp Lady, you better renew your membership. Leanne, listen, my mother, let me tell you what my mom used to do. My mom used to do, I know y'all remember those programs in the community to feed the elder. I used to watch my mom feed the elder. Now, dig this, y'all. You know, I got a lot of brothers and sisters. My mom used to feed all the elderly folks at a church in the mornings, right? On the weekends. I don't know if it was a weekday too. I think it was only weekends. She used to feed the elderly. And then after she was done, she would go in the community, whatever food she had left, she would go to some of the people in the community that needed food. And then whatever was left went to her family. But my mom spent her time not just feeding people, she also saved people. She was an evangelist. She used to do tent ministries outside for the whole neighborhood. Tent ministries. She fed the neighborhood with food and she fed the neighborhood with knowledge. That's what my mom was. She was into politics. She ran for precinct committee woman. Just all the greatest things that you would think that you wouldn't see, because my mom at one point was a single mother. She had been married 2 or 3 times until she met my stepfather. And then she was married the rest of her life. But she was very active in the community with Black folks. She was very active in the community. She adopted a lot of kids. She changed a lot of children's lives. She spent and dedicated her life to educating and saving the community. That's what my mom was. For real. And that's no lie. That's what my mother was. So I feel like a lot of that I learned from her. It's in me because I'm guilty of helping as many people as I can. And I've been done wrong. You know what I'm saying? People have used me, but it's the process of life, right? But if I had to do it again and again, I would continue to do it because that's the way she raised me. I watched this woman dedicate her life to everybody else. The most magical thing I'd ever seen. That's the reason why when I deal with women, they have to be, and I'm not trying to compare nobody to my mother, but I've never met maybe one woman in my life that I felt like was close to my mom. And that is crazy for me to say because I know what I seen her do and raise all those kids that she raised, and she made it through. She owned properties. My mom used to own damn near the whole neighborhood, all the houses in the neighborhood. Everybody knew her. She was everybody's mother. There's times I used to get jealous because everybody called my mom, mom. Facts. So I was educated with that. All I'm trying to do is pass that on. Like when I raised my step boys, let me tell you something. Imagine I got 6 step boys, right? from relationships. And I raised them. They turned out as incredible men. I've never had to beat them. I've never had to overly parent them. I told them about life and how things were going to be. And I told them, when you do this and do that, that's what's going to happen. So just know. And they never did the things that you would think, especially three black boys. I got three. Um, uh, Three of my sons are African American. I got three that are Asian that I raised from when they was little. I'm talking about from when they was like the smallest one was maybe 3 years old. And they still call me dad, dad. I don't have any kids of my own, but I raised six boys and they turned out, each and every one of them, amazing. Never locked up, not in trouble, not in the streets. So I know it can be done. I passed on my knowledge from a single mother, from my aunt raising me and my mom raising me. I passed that on to raise my boys and they turned out great. My stepfather wasn't in my life until I was probably 13. So my mind as a kid was already molded from the women that had molded me. And I turned out a pretty solid guy, right? And my boys turned out, I'm proud of them. Because when I think about my boys, especially my young black boys, because you know how young black men are, they get caught up easy. They get influenced easy. They're very smart, but they also make some of the craziest decisions based on trying to be cool with their buddies. None of my sons went through that. None of them. Matter of fact, when I go visit my son, sometimes at his work, he's so proud of me. Most of the girls at his job, that's your dad? Yeah, that's my dad. And then he'll call me like, Dad, the ladies was asking about you. But he's so proud. And I know now when he sees me, he's got to be like, dang, that's my dad, man. He still looked the same way he looked when he was young. Because I was a young dude trying to raise young guys. I didn't know anything about that shit. I was a young guy trying to raise young guys that weren't even mine. Their mom was older. I was a young dude. I did a great job. I got to give myself some credit. Their mom did a great job. I got to give her credit. Young black boys turned out great, man. And I am so proud to be able to say that these boys turned out great. And if my sons are watching this, Rashad, Ray, or Ricky, if any one of you boys are watching this, I love you guys. I'm proud of you, man. You guys have made me proud. You turned out great gentlemen, great men, respectful men, and contribute to your community in a positive way. I love you guys for that. I'm glad that I was able to be a part of your life as your stepdad, putting you in martial arts. We used to do martial arts for 4 hours outside. After leaving martial arts class, I would keep them in the yard for 4 or 5 hours outside fighting, training them. This is how much I loved my boys when they were little. Flying remote control airplanes. I'm a big kid. I used to go buy these rockets and remote control airplanes and take them to the park. I wanted to teach them about, planes and how the dynamic of airplanes work, because I was obsessed with flying. I was in a aeronautic program when I was in high school. You know what I'm saying? I was chosen to be in that, as well as me being in band and all that other stuff. So I wanted to share those things with them. So these boys grew up and had it was always fun. All I remember with my boys was just fun, laughter, fun, martial arts, fun, going places, spending time outside all day long until the dark. You see the sun go down and we're still outside, and I'm training them in martial arts. And they were little boys then. They were, like I said, the littlest one, my little one, Rashad, I think he was 3. He was 3. And the oldest one at that time, I think Ricky had to be maybe about 6. Yeah, they're grown men now. They're in their 30s and I think 40s, almost close to 40. I mean, they big boys now, man. But I'm proud of that. See, but I educated them. I talk to them all the time. Like you hear me talking, I talk to them about life and things that were going to happen in the future and being influenced, being around the wrong people. I always did. So I passed on what I was taught, right? And so that's the reason I'm having this conversation. I'm trying to educate my young ladies that might not read, trying to educate my young men who are there taking care of their families. We got young guys who are out here taking care of their families that might be here on YouTube. If you're coming across this video, I love you, young man. You're a responsible father. You're there with the mother. You're taking care of your child. This knowledge I give It's for you guys to pay attention to so you know what's happening in the future, the things that are going to affect you. To the grandmothers that still take care of their grandkids that are on here, I'm sharing this knowledge to you too, so you can let your granddaughters and your grandsons know what could be possibly in the future. We have to educate our community, you guys. This is the only way it's going to make a difference. Even when a law changes, if you have the knowledge, you're able to make the proper decisions. Please remember that. Please just share the knowledge. It doesn't cost anything to share the knowledge. It doesn't cost anything to share my video. It costs nothing to go and research online now. It actually doesn't cost anything, not that much to go to the library. You still got to pay for your library card, but you know, it's still there. There's a local library in every corner of every city. I get on here not just because I'm an artist. I'm going to always be an artist. I get on here because I have a duly sworn responsibility as an artist, and that is to pass on knowledge, either be through the pen or verbally to you guys. What good is it to be somebody that has a platform and you're not using it in a proper way? That's why you see me on here. I'm responsible and I'm activating my responsibility and not just using my platform in a foul way. And I will continue to do that. I love you guys. Let me read a few more things here. Let me read some things. Hold on. Let me look. I want to read some of you guys' comments. Hold on. Oh my God. Sure enough, my phone wants to do weird stuff now. Okay, here we go. Let's read some of these comments. Thank you, Styles. You're appreciated too, Styles. Swamp Lady said, we do need to reach out more. Absolutely. Dolores Draper said, that's because you are a good man. Thank you, Dolores. I appreciate you for that. CC said, martial arts is a great way to teach self-discipline. It saved my life. CC. Leanne said, you took all of that wisdom and used it wisely. I absolutely did, Leanne. Yes, I did and still do. Cheryl said, parenting is defined by the care, guidance, and love you provide, not merely by biology. Absolutely. Do Right by Jesus said, Stone, back in the 70s, you really didn't have to do much because the programs were utilized by the era. It's like pulling teeth just to get them to use their voice. Oh, man. Do right by Jesus. You are 100% correct. Darlene says, Stone, your mother showed you the quality and a woman's worth. Let me tell you something, Darlene. That woman, and I got to give my aunt credit too, because my aunt adopted me, but I would visit my mom on the weekends. Both of those women changed my life. Because one was the one way, my aunt was about education. My mom was about love and the Bible and God and spirituality. So if I'd had too much of one, I could have turned out that way. If I'd had too much of the other one, I could have turned out that way. So it was necessary to have both of them molded me into who I am to this day. April said, people just don't care for one another anymore. They'd rather talk down on others' struggles. We all need to embrace and help each other. If we're able, no judgment, just help your neighbors, family, etc. Listen, I live in a middle upper class neighborhood, right? We all help each other here. Most of the people in this neighborhood are Asian, white, or Armenian, or different races, right? But we still help each other. Knowledge, wisdom, looking out for each other. Something happens in the neighborhood, I usually get a call from my neighbor, Derek. It's only me and Derek, when we moved in this neighborhood, we were the only brothers in this neighborhood, you know, and we all help each other. It's not even about a color in our neighborhood. It's really about community, and we really love each other. This is what I love about where I live, is we love each other, and we really care. You know what I'm saying? It's not about a black or white thing. We really care, you know, and that's the thing. Like, you have to start caring about each other at some point, or when it's time for us to come together, we're going to be in trouble. Make sure you guys sign that petition. Justice Rangie Stone, it's at the bottom. Everybody on here, please sign that petition. I think we're at 200, man. It should be, of all the videos I've done and all the views I have. This is why I say people say they want justice, but you can't even sign the petition. There should be about 1,000 signatures on that petition right now. I can't even believe there's, last time I looked, I think it was 200. You guys got to do better than that. You guys got to do better than that. Come on, man. We got to boost up the signatures. We should be up at least 1,000 by now, because this petition has been out for at least a month. Please sign that petition. Please sign that petition. Justice for Angie Stone, the moderator, put it at the bottom. Please click it, you guys. Please. Leanne said, in 70, we pretend the time while educating and helping you, the people, the right. Okay, Leanne said, in the 70s, we protected too, while educating and helping get the people to the right places, because a lot of people were uneducated at the time. So we educated even under threats of police brutality. Preach it, Leanne. Come on. Listen, Leanne, this for you. But I'm going to do the one with the afro. Remember this one? Your brothers would put that in their hair. Thank you, Leanne. Right there. That's for you. That was solid. I love that. And that was the truth. Okay, your love. Thank you for signing it. Thank you. Thank you. Your love, let me know when you get your CD too, please. Whenever I go live, everybody that got their CD in the mail, just let me know you got it. I know I had 2 groups of people send me. I shipped out some, and then I end up getting a whole bunch of other emails. So shipping out other ones, man, it's been crazy, but I appreciate you guys. Charlene said, I always knew a mother teaching a son makes him a man, and a dad shows his daughters to become a woman. I had some amazing grandparents and parents. Charlene, yes, you're right. I think people overlook that. Not enough people talk about the power of women raising men. People feel like if a man is raised by a woman, he's going to be too sensitive. Now, I will say one thing. There is a bit of sensitivity that happens when a woman raises a man, but it's not bad. It's really that sensitivity that's needed, that balances that man out, that makes him human. When it comes to dealing with a woman, it gives him more of a sensitive touch because mom has already implemented that in him. But on the other hand, when I've had to deal with men through the years, it took me years to really learn how to deal with men in a way of like protecting myself or letting people walk over me, right? Because I was taught that sensitivity. So when it was time for me to rise up against a dude that was coming at me, I had them sensitive elements, like I wanted to be nice and too loving, right? When this person wanted to get at me, like they might have been on some rude stuff. But because my mom taught me to love, right? Moms, we got to teach our sons to be tough too, though, right? So my aunt was a necessary evil in that situation. My aunt put me in martial arts and boxing because she knew that was needed, and she knew she couldn't teach me that. So she put me in that. My mom was about to love everybody, turn the other cheek, smack, let them hit it. That's what my mom was. My aunt was like, I'm gonna teach you, make sure you can protect yourself, right? Because my brothers couldn't be everywhere I was. They couldn't be. And when my brothers would show up, it wouldn't be good. So I probably didn't want my brothers everywhere I was anyway, right? So my aunt put me in martial arts at a very young age. Bless her heart. Bless my aunt's heart. She didn't know that she started me in band and she started me in martial arts. She's the reason why you guys see me as I am to this day. But the both of them balanced me out and made me into the man I am to this day. And those conversations with my stepdad from 13 years old up molded my mind into things that, helped me as a man. He didn't quite, like I said, he never talked about girls and how to deal with women and using protection. Women told me all that. My mom told me that stuff. My aunt didn't even want to talk to me about that, but my mom did. My mom was straight up with it. My mom, she broke it down. My aunt was about education and defending yourself and knowledge and wisdom. My mom was about spirituality, the Bible, being kind to people. Put those together, you have Stone Paxton. That's why I'm the way I am to this day. And I appreciate both of those ladies. They were necessary in my life. I thank God for them. My mother's no longer here, but my aunt is still here. And I mess with her all the time. I call her and pick with her about how I was when I was young. She had me in everything. She had me in Boy Scouts. She had me in Cub Scouts. She had me in martial arts. She had me in boxing. She put me on the big brother, big sister program because my brothers weren't around. They lived with my mom. So I used to have my big brother was a white guy named Matt who used to pick me up. Now, I'll tell you another thing about that. Because of Matt, allowed me to learn how to deal with a different dynamic in my life. I lived in an all-white neighborhood. My aunt lived in, it was no black people that lived in the neighborhood. Maybe one or two, I remember. I grew up, I went to a school that was mostly white. So imagine on the weekends, here's a guy picking you up who's a white dude. And he'd bring his girlfriend. Matt was cool as shit. I wish I could find Matt. But I remember the times he would have to come to the ghetto and pick me up at my mom's house, right? And my brothers would kind of mess with him because they didn't like the fact that my aunt had put me on the big brother, big sister program. They didn't like that. It's like, who the white dude picking you up? Yeah, they used to try to mess with him, but Matt didn't. He held his own. Matt was like, I'm here to pick up my little brother. Matt. Matt was cool, man. Listen, Matt, if you come across this video, I still look the same, man. Listen, I love you, man. Thank you for what you had done. You and your girlfriend picking me up, taking me whitewater rafting. Oh, we used to do some cool stuff, you guys. You take me whitewater rafting, all the things I had never experienced when it comes to outdoor activity. Matt, I was privileged to experience that through Big Brother Matt, man. I love you, man. I don't know where you are, but wherever you are, I'm sending you my love. You and your girlfriend, maybe you got married. I know you got kids. Man, I love you, brother. You changed my life too. I appreciate you. Hey, you guys, listen, I had a great conversation with you guys today. Stone Paxton Music and Life. If you haven't, go to my Spotify. Follow my Spotify, Stone Paxton. Listen to some of that great music. It's beautiful. I'm all about high frequency, you guys. I do get turned up a little bit here on YouTube when people come in my channel and say crazy, disrespectful stuff. I'm human, but I'm a good person, and I love all of you guys. I'll holler at y'all tomorrow. We're going to do the same time. You feel what I'm saying? Mike might come on at 12:30, but I'll see you tomorrow, all right? Mike might come on this evening. No promises. I don't know because I got a lot of work to do, and I got some meetings I got to run to. But love you guys. Have a good day. Please share this video, man. It's just all about the community. I'm just trying to make a difference with my platform. I love you, and I'm out. And thank you for all of you that have stayed here and watched me. If you're not a member of my channel, click that button, become a member. Join the membership, man. Quit playing with me. I love y'all, and I'm out. Ciao.